What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to another solo Leveling Arise video. First off, thank you so much for the crazy ass support you guys have been providing me. I want to talk about something real quick here. So shout out to Hazel, actually, who mentioned this on my Discord. DM me and was like, hey Payne, can you please talk about this? I didn't even know about this, so this is great for me and everybody else in the community. So shout out to all of you guys who thought about this, and obviously the person who contacted me. So when you go to this webpage, which will be actually linked into my description, you guys can click on it and go in there. You guys can see here, pre-register by email before a story chapter is released to receive the latest updates about it. But then at the same time, when you do update, you get yourself 10 custom draw tickets. So the next time the Demon King Baron update happens, which is coming very soon apparently, you want to go ahead and jump in. I'm playing for the PC, for example. I put in my email here, I agree to the terms, I pre-register, and then when the story drops, you get yourself 10 custom draw tickets every single time. So make sure you do this, guys, on all of your accounts that you plan to play with, whether it's mobile, PC, doesn't really matter. Make sure you pre-register, so that way any story that comes out, you'll have the opportunity to get yourself a free multi whenever a new chapter is released. All right, now with that being said, I want to get that out of the way. In the description of my email, of course, or my email, sorry, in the description of my video, not enough coffee today, we're going to be doing a Sun Jinwoo tier list for his best artifacts based on strength and agility, and we're going to talk about what the best tier list artifacts are for him for all content. All right, guys, I'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about every single artifact that is good for Sun Jinwoo, all the way down to what is bad and what you want to use, where, and why. So we're going to cover it in two different ways. I'm going to cover it with strength and agility in mind. Okay, now you don't want to build agility build. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know they fixed crit damage, but everything still specs off of strength. Okay, everything. We're talking about attack is the ultimate. DPS is king in this game. So all of his skills, all of his shadows, like everything pretty much specs crit damage, for God's sakes, scales off of attack, right? So you do want to make it strength build. So I'm gonna only focus on strength build. I'm not gonna even bother with agility. You should not be building him agility. All of your agility should come from, all of your crit rate and crit damage should come from your boots for crit damage, as well as the right side of your accessory. So all the like necklaces, etc. And all of your crit rate should come from the left side, which is all of your armor, okay? You should be focusing on that. That's where you're gonna get majority of what matters in crit. Not from the stats. Everything should be going in strength and a little bit in precision, just to kind of balance it out. Okay, so let's talk about it. So SJW, our boy. So let's talk about the bad gear. Okay, the worst gear possible in the game for him is going to be the holy set, because you don't want to give him more HP and you don't want to make him decrease attack to give other people attack. It really never pans out, because the only time you ever give anybody else more attack in this case will be in raids, and you want him to be the one that gets the attack, not to lose it, right? So worst set in the game for him is the holy set for sure. The paladin set here, not really great either. I mean, if you want, it's still usable, because you can build a shield spec for him and give him a little bit more damage. For the 4-piece set, for example, you get 10% more damage if you have a shield on. Also, it gives the shield actually 30 more percent. Sorry, let me just swap these two over. So it can be used. You know what I'll do? I'll put bad, but I'll add an extra row below, and we'll say the worst. Okay, we'll just call it worst. You know what? We'll go back to, what was that? Green? We'll go back to green. Green, this one. There, we'll do that one. And then we'll go over here, and we'll switch this one to like the worst. Okay, so we'll just say the worst. We'll call it D useless. Okay, useless for him, definitely this. This is still bad, but it can be useful, right? Depending on how you want to build them. If you're using the Golem Hammer, for example, if you're using any weapon that provides a shield, if you're using Saw as well too, to whenever she comes out as support to provide you a shield. If you're using any skills like vital strikes, they give you a shield. All of that can actually pop that and make it work. So I mean, it's not like useless, but it's not what you really want to go for, right? At the same time. Let's go with the next one. Decent break set. Believe it or not, the break set's not bad, especially when you're fighting big bosses with a lot of break bars. That extra damage you do when you break somebody, also to be able to just break faster, is actually not a bad thing to do, because he uses so many of his break skills throughout the entire fight. So I had it really low before. I started using it more on him. Actually wasn't too bad, especially if you start putting blessing stones with a lot of break abilities in it. This thing is bonkers. You can actually break fairly well. I'm almost want to put it as good, but I won't. I'll keep it in here as decent, because realistically at the end of the day, if your stats are going to matter and you have really good stats for this break set, for attack, for example, and crit, you might want to put it on. Honestly, it's not the worst idea. Where it kind of falters, of course, is there's a lot of mobs and a lot of elite mobs and bosses that don't have break bars, and that becomes very useless because of that, right? And that's why it's going to sit in the decent pile. All right, next up, this one here is also not bad. It's good for building his core up quick. You can do a lot of core damage with it, but again, overall, not what you really want to use. I think the break set's actually even better than this one. Personally, you can you can argue that, but at the end of the day, they're still in the same rank. So realistically, there's no even point arguing about that in the first place. Next up, we're going to put the Destroyer set. It's actually good. Great if you want to build up your ultimate faster. The biggest issue with this, which was really good in the beginning of early access, but then as I started testing it more and more and more, the biggest issue obviously you come by is the fact that your ultimate reduction rate is just too long anyway. So you build so fast, you still have to wait for it to reduce. It does provide other people ultimate as well too. This is more of a support from your hunters, but it still can be pretty decent if you want to build your ultimate bar super quickly at 50%, especially with a 4-piece, and just kill a boss super fast if you need to do that, right? So it's not the worst set. It's also not the best set. It's almost arguably could still be a B set here. Arguably, but I'll give it there for now. I almost want to do this, to be honest. Almost want to do that. So, I mean, yeah, it's close to being a B set. I'll put it an A for now because it is usable. That 50% extra ultimate gauge is kind of nice to have, especially with quick fights. If you want to build it, pop an ultimate, destroy the boss, move on. It can be fairly useful, especially when you have good stats. But again, ultimately, you want to use it for characters like Min and those folks who are going to help you build your ultimate instead. And remember, it doesn't stack, okay? So if you give everybody Destroyer set, you're not going to get all of them stacking all of their ultimate buffs. It doesn't work that way. It only works one user gets it and everybody benefits from it, and that's it. Okay, just a lot of controversy behind that one. All right, now the very good set. This one can still be very OP as well. So it's like a fine line between the two of them, okay? Because this one here increases your ultimate by 25%, but also reduces your ultimate bar or ultimate cooldown by 40%, which is huge. So you can pop ultimates off very often. Again, if you have somebody who has this as a support, or even someone like Min who gives you ultimate gauge or Parkijin, this can be used very often and can be very deadly as well with the proper stats. So this is a very, very hard one to choose. It kind of like, again, borders the line between OP and SS very. If I had like a middle line here, it would sit right there, right? Sometimes it'll be OP, sometimes it'll be very good. Nonetheless, so I'll put it here for now because at the end of the day, realistically, the two sets that are going to matter most are going to be these two sets. Now, these are interchangeable, okay? The beauty of this one is attack bonus ignores defense, okay? Beauty. That's exactly what you want. More attack, more ignore defense, more damage. Pretty straightforward, nothing involved. This one here, on the other hand, allows you to get a little bit more crit, 8% on the 2-piece, but also gives you now, the fact that crit damage is fixed, gives you additional 32% crit damage. Now remember, all of these passives will not be seen on the stat sheet. They're only seen in game. You'll see the difference in game. So depending on how you want to build your SJW, if you build them full attack, then you want to go the attack set. If you want to build them more crit based, then you go this way. Now remember, strength can still be crit based. You just get all your crit rate and crit damage from your accessories and armor, and then you can build this piece here, which remember as well, you can go above the 50% cap on stats by using passives and skills. So this will put you at 58% crit rate just by this alone for the 2-piece if you have 50% already, and then also gives you an additional 32% crit damage. So I personally like to use both. Depending on the fight, depending on the weapon, I do go back and forth between them. I'm finding the most consistent one is still the line black set, but this is now becoming a more of a favorite because of the amount of damage you can pull off with crit damage actually working. All right, so there you go. That's the armor. Again, interchangeable. All right, and this one here can teeter. Keep that in mind, but that's the setup right there. Now, when it comes down to accessories, this is pretty straightforward. The expert set is the best set. Now, the only time the expert set is really not the best set, really, is when you do quick battle of time attacks. Like if something lasts you 30 seconds, you're never really going to use this, right? Because you're not going to get enough stacks, and that's where something like the Berserker or the Executioner will come into play to benefit the fight. So I'm gonna actually get so these two I go hand in hand, and here's the reason why. I'm gonna explain this because a lot of people are gonna ask this question: why? This here, because if it's a fast attack, you do more damage on the opponent, right? But when it's a longer fight, all you got to do is take one hit and you get yourself 30% bonus. So and remember, you need to be a 70% HP or lower to get the 30% bonus. Here, if the opponent is at 70% HP or lower, you get 20%. So this is a 10% increase in your damage by just letting yourself get hit for what, 10 seconds maybe, and you get an extra 10% bonus. So there's a reason why I favor these so much, and a lot of people ask me the question, why would I use this? It's not about like not being able to dodge or whatever. It's getting that extra 10% bonus for like 10 seconds to 13 seconds of missed time, and you can do that 30% throughout the entire fight going forward, right? And it really scales well because if you're a scythe user, you lose HP already, so that's going to benefit there. Plus, at 70% HP with the Scythe, you get 25% extra crit rate. So having those two hand in hand with the Scythe is incredible. So I always go this route, okay? I wanted to just explain that because a lot of people ask the question, and I'd rather just have it explained now. All right, now, the most useless one here is going to be the Aquamarine set because he's never tagging out. So he's not giving anybody else attack bonus. You'll never use this. The very is not bad. You could put it right here. Actually, probably decent, because it gives you 18% more damage on skills, I believe, if I recall, or damage overall maybe, but it does take away more MP consumption, so you do need something that will help you get MP back. So it will be very powerful, but again, doesn't scale as well as those ones. And this one over here is not bad. Every time you do a crit up to 4 stacks, you also increase your attack. So this is going to be the set there. There's really no good or bad sets yet. Remember, we're going to be getting more sets in the future, but this is it. This is how I would do it. I mean, if I were to rate these a little bit, like if you want me to go even further in there, I'd probably do something like this if you guys want to be a little more critical. And then depends on the fight again, it will go this or this. It really depends. So I'm going to keep them up here, but realistically, that's probably the best setup going forward for Sun Jinwoo. So there you guys have it. This is Payne. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comment section. Again, thank you so much for your support, guys. Much love to you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.